Welcome to Behind the Lava Lava, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the vibrant people and cultures of the Pacific. This episode is brought to you by Matai, a luxury timepiece brand that embodies the essence of the Pacific Islands. I'm your host, Michael Tan, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Milford and Nati. Before we get started, a quick reminder to our listeners to follow, subscribe, and leave a review if you enjoy the show. Now let's jump straight into it. Today, we have Nick Williams in the house, and he is the CEO of the brand Matai. This will be our follow-up episode on his entrepreneurial journey so far. So Nick, how you been?
Hello team. Hey Michael. Yeah, no, been really good. You know, we're coming off the, first of all, it's always an honor to be with you guys up on this podcast. You know, always appreciate you guys taking the time, a nice, beautiful Sunday afternoon. But yeah, we're coming off the back end of a real busy 2023. And here we are, January 2024. I get to jump on a podcast with you guys and, go forward. So how things have been, as we were talking about before with Ati, just in a place of calmness before the storm comes. So, yeah, I'm really excited about what's to come, I guess, for us. And, to put it in words, I guess it's calm before the storm.
So, Nick, before we continue, and for our listeners who are not sure what Matai is and what your role is, could you briefly explain what inspired Matai and what your role is in the Matai brand?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Matai. We're a brand. We're a brand. When we first came out, we were Matai watches. So we're exclusively dealing primarily with watches. One of the first Pacific, if not the only Pacific brand in the world to do timepieces. Since then, we've grown the company quite extensively over the last year and gone from Matai watches to just Matai. Matai being a brand, it's a brand of the Pacific. It's something that we're really, really, really proud of. We also do sunglasses and sort of a little bit of merch. In terms of like the growth of the company, that's what Matai is. We're a brand of the Pacific. My role, yes, I'm the CEO, so my job is to take care of the company, overlook everything that goes on within it, and all the other kind of, I guess, boring and exciting stuff that happens inside the brand as well.
So when we first interviewed you and Andrew, you were about 3-4 months into starting Matai. How has it been so far?
So for us, the journey has been, absolutely amazing. 3 months, that's crazy. I can't believe it's been so long, Michael, because a lot has happened since intervening with you guys in 3 months. So we're going back to probably early last January would have been when we did it. So coming out of the gates, obviously, we were just trying to navigate a way to kind of promote the brand. We launched in July 2022 and didn't have a plan, didn't have a structure, didn't have a marketing objective. And again, it was about just starting. And it was kind of like just find something and just kind of go from dot to dot. When we first started sort of branching, sort of coming out of the gate, we just took whatever opportunity came our way. Any way we could promote, if we had to go to a festival just to kind of give away the watches, we kind of did that. We did a lot of promotion in terms of giving back to our people. So before we even made $1, we probably gave away $10,000 worth of stock in terms of watches. And that was just to get the awareness of the brand out there. Going into when we interviewed, that would have been July, so around October. So in October, still finding our footing, Michael. I think at the time with Matai, it was just finding the footing and where we kind of sit in terms of brand, and then identifying that, okay, we had a product that had never been done before. So it also gave us a gap in the market to have something that no one else could get anywhere else in the world. And that's one thing we understood. So going from sort of that back-ended period, then introducing the Manea collection, I think around the same time. And then just growing it organically and then trying to get a real understanding in terms of business. So heading into sort of January 2023 was kind of the first time where we kind of looked back and went, okay, we kind of need to have a plan in a way about what it is that we want to achieve. And so, to be honest, man, like we winged a lot of stuff for like the first 6 months. It was about just winging it and just trying to find the grounding sort of direction and which way we can take. And all the business stuff, we didn't really have like the business plan and the marketing. We kind of just winged it, and I kind of went off like being a promoter back in the music industry. Yeah, didn't have a direction. And so coming into January 2023, we still didn't really have a guideline, to where we wanted to be. And I think that didn't really kick in until I think around probably late January, where the idea was built on Black Series. So if you go back and you look at the first ever Black Series commercial we did with my kids and my nephews while they were here in Australia. And it was an idea that sparked, it was just something real cool where, I had envisioned something of superheroes for the Pacific, and what did I like growing up? I loved Superman. I was a huge fan of Superman, Marvel, Captain America, Batman. Those were really huge things. And I really wanted to kind of make our own sort of superhero. So the idea of Black Series was actually sparked, and we went off and we got Josh Holloway from the Manly Sea Eagles to come in and play a character off the back of a storyline that I've written. So what people don't understand, some people may not know, is that I've got a performing arts background. I actually come from performing arts, creative writing, music, etc. So I have an entertainment sort of background in terms of how to draw audience, how to promote, how to do certain things. So going back to that, I was able to create something. We went out and just winged it with Dave, who's our creative director, Parker Films. We made something out. I thought it was real special, just the way that we could bring out the new Genesis Black. And then from there, even then, like still trying to navigate what it is we want to direct our attention to. So at the time, that was just an idea, and we just created it and put it out there. So risk taking has never really been a problem for Matai. Everything that has sort of, as money that is people use to buy into our company and buy our product, me and Andrew have never been afraid to go back and reinvest it into the company. We've never been ones to hoard profit. We've never gone, okay, cool, we've made X amount of dollars, let's just keep this and let's just try and go get something nice, let's go and get no, we never did that. So even till now, every cent that we can invest back into our company, we do. So marketing, making things better, became an important thing, from graphics to social media to how do we improve things to hiring freelancers. All these things, they all sort of fell into place as we went along. And so, to be honest, the strategic marketing in terms of what Matai, fast forward a little bit longer down the lines from all the other stuff that we have done to, right up until Mark Hunt, it was about 2 months prior to filming the MXU sunglasses with Mark Hunt that I really started to get a plan and start to really figure out. So this is going back almost a year and a bit. We're into this journey, and it's probably not 2 months until me and Dave are sitting on the plane, I think, from Sydney to Gold Coast, and just 1 hour flight, and I'm sitting there and then click, this thing popped into my head. And then I said to myself, I wanted to create a universe. I wanted to create sort of the first Pacific advertising that's never been done. Like, I love Marvel. I do love, PlayStation games, and I like, Marvel superheroes, and I like all that kind of stuff. I like trading cards. I like sports. I like all these other things. Like, how can I take a vision of stuff that I like and implement it into our business? And so that's how the strategic marketing for the Matai universe was created, because, that's when I said, man, at the end of at Marvel, they always have a carry-on. There's always the next sort of what's coming next. And I thought, man, I've never seen that in advertising. I want to create that. Now, it sounds real stupid, but I want to create that. And how do I do that? So that's what sparked sort of the idea of where we are now. And I think this is going in maybe 6 months now, since we've had a strategic plan on how we want to grow and scale our company. And it started with Mark Hunt, and then it was a matter of, oh man, I've done these cool ads before, but they had no purpose, and they served no purpose, from working on Miss Samoa, Heilani, and doing a 3-part series, to the Valentines, to the Black Series. It actually there was no plan behind it, but then to go, how can I bring that back in, and then if you do follow us and you do understand like what I'm talking about, the Matai universe starts with Mark Hunt being chapter 1. but then going, man, I love the Black Series ad. How can I bring that back in? And then figuring out a way how to bring that storyline back in, and which is what we've been able to create. So, and then with that has come since then we've taken on new coaches. So we have e-commerce coaches that actually help us, that are actually helping us to scale up business into a new atmosphere and to go swim in a pond that we've never swum in before. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I've carried on a little bit, Michael, but yeah, to give you a sort of an idea about where we were to where we are sort of around now is pretty amazing. And then to come off the back end of 2023, being a Pacific business and going up against, some very respectable jewelry brands in the awards show, even for our local area, they're still multi-million-dollar companies. And then to come out on top and win that award, like that's a huge achievement, being the only Pacific brand for the night to win an award, like just doing stuff. And so being able to create what we did in terms of community, right through to awareness, was a huge year for 2023. So coming into 2024, the scale of things is actually, for me, is kind of a little bit overwhelming, because I understand that I'm not a person that likes to stay complacent. Like, what I did yesterday was cool, but tomorrow's a new day. How do I make that better? How do I not just beat it? Because I don't like to beat things. I like to smash things and I like to dominate things. That's the competitive streak that I've always had, sort of as an individual growing up, I don't like being just a normal dude. I like to be someone that comes in to smash it. So where I'm at the moment is just trying to figure out, 2023 was cool. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's over now. 2024, all right, I got this dream. How do I get there? So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. We want to double our revenue from last year. We want to triple our revenue years going forward. We want our brand to be global. That is a real important message of Matai, is that, yes, we love our Pacific people. We want to stay from the Pacific and make everybody very proud. But we also want to do things for ourselves where we can actually put us in a position to compete. And when I say compete, I mean compete on a mainstream level. It's sort of the next evolution of our brand. What do we want to do? Why can't Matai be a Nike? Why can't it be an Under Armour? Why can't it be an Adidas? Why can't it? People love it. We have a community behind it. Why can't we do that? We can do that. And we're going to do that, whether it takes, the next 5 years to 10 years, 20 years time. So I sort of have an idea, 20 years time, what I want to accomplish. Yeah.
Are you a veteran, military member, law enforcement officer, hospital worker, or educator dreaming of owning your own home? Frontline Heroes is here to make that dream a reality. Their program is designed by a group of realtors, lenders, and escrow specialists who want to give back to those who served our communities. Here's how it works. Their realtors pledge to contribute 25% of their commission, while lenders chip in half a percentage towards closing costs and other fees associated with buying a house. It's their way of honoring your service and making home ownership more attainable. Contact Dan Taylor at 801-512-4200 to learn more and take the first step towards owning your own home. Frontline Heroes, turning dreams into keys.
So I want to give Nick a breather, but my question is more directed to Ati and T. Coming from an outside perspective, how do you guys think Matai has done ever since the beginning, especially last year? From your perspective, looking from the outside, what do you guys think? Because from my perspective, Matai has completely destroyed, or they've done pretty good for the first year that they've been out. So what do you guys think?
I tend to lean on agreeing on the side of expansion, breaking like the ceiling, that glass ceiling, because I knew already when we started talking last time, it was going to be a big thing, because one, this is a niche. There's no other company out there that's done something like this. No other brand watch out there that's influenced, Islander, Polynesian influenced, or influenced from our Pacifica roots. It's never been done. I don't remember ever in my lifetime ever coming across a company that's done it. And not only that, you guys have kind of etching into that, because you mentioned it, Nick, on the global scale. you you're nicking it. You're nicking it as far as like piercing that veil of actually breaking out, which is already up there because now you got all these superstars, you got all these brand name individuals that are repping Matai watch, and that goes on a positive note on your end as a CEO, driving the company forward towards expansion is understanding that, hey, we need to get our watches in front of these people, these individuals, superstars, and that's how we're going to get our name out there. And that's where I believe you're there, and you're exactly right. You don't want to be complacent. You don't want to be like, hey, that was yesterday. I agree with you on that. What are we going to do for 2024? And I resonate with exactly what you're doing. As far as the watches go, man, I love my watch. If you're listening to this this podcast right now, I highly suggest you get your watch, man. Like it's not only it resembles, like every time I look at it, it just reminds me, hey, this was crafted by my people. The idea came around from my own people, and it's not some brand name like Nike or like a Rolex or something like that. But it's just specific. It's specific to me, and it's special. It's special in a way because I know that it's come from the long line of the people that looks like me. So, and which I love, and I appreciate that. And thank you, Nick, for hopping on with us, man. Thank you.
Hey, so first off, you said you like to smash and dominate things. It would have been nice to imagine what you would have been like in the Marine Corps with that competitive spirit. Would have been one heck of a Marine, but didn't know what to expect. We loved the idea in the beginning, what you were doing and the journey you were on. But the way you've grown, and for someone just winging it, that's a heck of a game plan that came together, with all your experiences and all your interests and hobbies and just everything coming together. It's working out great, and I love seeing the growth, and I love seeing the excitement. Aside from us, just everybody who's starting to catch on and starting to realize, what you're about, what Matai is about. Seeing Mark Hunt, Oos Gang, Samoan Stuntman, Ja Rule, other musical artists outside of our culture embracing the journey you're on. It's been awesome, and it's great seeing you exceed any expectations that have been laid out, ahead of 2023 or even at the beginning of the year. It's just amazing to think about. Like, there's so much growth that has happened. I can't just recall it here in this instant, but man, it's been awesome, Nick. Like, and we had an event back, was it September? Poly Days or whatever at Thanksgiving point.
I think it's July. I think it was July.
Was it July?
Oh, end of September.
Yeah, it was September. So out of all the thousands of events that Michael goes to, I was able to make it to one. And, the main thing was the Matai brand. And then it was great seeing all the questions that people had. But what was even better was you had those questions answered already. You were ready. You weren't resting on the laurels of the success of the Genesis. You were on the next move. You were keeping on the grind, and, you had that move in silence because Michael was like, hey, this is a future plan. Don't say anything about it. But if people have questions in regards to this type of thing, just tell them, hey, something's in the works. Don't worry, it's on the way. And that, that was one of the most awesome things because, like you said, didn't have all the marketing and business experience, but you were already moving like that. So, hey, I'm just more excited to see what you have planned for 2024 because I know you're not going to stop and you're not going to rest. So this is awesome.
Yeah, so speaking of Genesis, I still have the original watch that was gifted to me by Nick, by Matai, and it's a good watch. It'll last a very long time. You do not have to keep it in your cupboard or keep it safe. I wear mine at least twice a week, even to Walmart. I show it to people. I wear it to every event that I go to, and it's still blinging. It's still beautiful, and it's still going strong after a year. So, Nick, could you tell us more about the customer feedback that you've been getting? I know you've been to a lot of events. For me, every time someone sees the watch at the events that I attend, they're in awe. It's almost like their jaw almost drops down to the ground, like they've never heard of a Pacific brand, especially that one that represents our Pacifica people. What are your experiences?
So my experiences, we're very fortunate, Michael, to be honest, we're very fortunate because I would say almost 99% of people are very satisfied. They're very happy. It's something that's real close to them in terms of, in terms of their heart, like a lot. I feel like a lot of people, they buy a product because of what it represents, and where it's from. And then in terms of like reviews and stuff like that, well, I was, to be honest, man, I was a little bit scared to put a review system up on our website, because we didn't have a full understanding about the technology of a watch, So when we first started, the watch was made, Andrew had made the watch, but I was new to it. I was new in terms of understanding how the watch industry worked because I've got to get my knowledge up, and I'm not sure, like I know how to market, I know how to sort of promote, So I've had to learn a lot and go through a whole knowledge phase of the watch specs and watch industry. So at first it was very intimidating to put something out because you kind of get a bit afraid about how people are honestly going to review stuff and go, that's shit, bro. And we had some of those comments come through on Facebook when I didn't know how to run Facebook ads. And what I was actually doing was I was running, if you know something about Facebook ads, like I was running traffic campaigns. Now, traffic campaigns, they're designed to just kind of go anywhere and everywhere. And when you do that kind of stuff, you get people coming in from all different types of audiences, not our Pacific people. If you're running traffic and you got no broad sort of, so you get people coming in from different cultures, and we'll get comments, along the lines of, Islanders don't wear watches, or that looks ugly, or that, it was like people that were just a bit cuckoo. They just had something to say, they would say it. And I understand that about the world. You're never going to impress everybody as much as you try. But it was always people that weren't of the Pacific that were saying all these nasty comments. And so it really used to bug me at first, because it was like, why are they saying this stuff? Like, they don't even own a watch. Like, how can they? But people like to critique things before they can even see it. They critique it via what they see via social media. So understanding that was a really big process. So when I delayed putting a review system, up on our website, because I didn't want to get bad feedback. Like, I knew we have something special, and sometimes it kind of hurts your feelings a little bit when people say nasty things about, it feels like even though they're attacking the brand, it's like a personal shot at you, you know what I mean? And so for me, I was really uncomfortable putting that up, and I actually just started putting one up. And I thought, I got to a point like mentally where I sort of got over these little mental blocks. And I thought I'd throw one up probably about 5-6 months ago. And ever since then, like, the reviews have been all 5-star, when it comes to our watches. So it's become a system where it's like, it's given us more belief. Like, it's made me feel a lot more comfortable, because I know that it's coming from customers that have gone out and worked their 9-to-5 job and worked really hard, saved their money, and come and spent it with us. And then to have them give them great feedback back, like, that's real positive, because that's something that really I think about a lot of the times is, sometimes when I first started selling the watch, I felt really guilty because our margin, we had to put our product at, $200, $300, but that was in order to make the company function, you know what I mean? And so you have these crossroads where you're kind of thinking like, oh man, like, I don't want to, I'd love to just give this away, but you obviously can't do that. It's business, right? So, my main thing is understanding that our people, they go to work, they work hard, they make their money, and then they come and spend it with us, and I always wanted to feel like it's a great experience, so any of our customers that come back to us and say, oh, we may have an issue or this and that, well, I'll be the first to go, yeah, sweet, straight up, boom, like, let's replace that, let's get you a new one out, I won't go through the old deal like other companies where they'll kind of just delay you or not even want to kind of deal with their customer. Customers is I wouldn't call them customers, I call them our people, our community that deal with Matai. I like to make sure that Obviously, it's gotten a little bit busy, so we've had someone sort of monitoring our socials from time to time. But I like to deal with people, with hands-on experience, so that they know that they're dealing with the CEO or they're dealing with Andrew, who's the owner founder. I like that experience, and so for me, it's kind of like, bro, I want them to feel like they can actually connect with us as human beings, and that's really important. I don't ever want to get on a chair and sit at the top of the throne and kind of like, hey, little servants, go do that. Not about that. Never will be. I've seen firsthand what those experiences like, and those experiences suck. So I refuse to do that. And yeah, I guess for me, just having that review system, Michael, was a big step to go, okay, now I'm going to get honest feedback, and it's going to be sitting on our website, and whatever goes, bro, But for us, like, I'm so grateful and so appreciative that our customers have come back, giving us great reviews on it, which also helps us to build our brand, you know what I mean? Didn't see the purpose in it, because kind of when you're in business, you kind of get afraid. But yeah, now I'm just like, whatever comes, because I realize how relevant feedback is. Feedback's really important. Like, we'll get customers that message and say, straps too small, straps too long. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. At first, it was like, didn't want to hear it, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you haven't done it. So why would I listen, But now I really, really, really take into account, and I consider, and people that I really respect or I really appreciate, I listen and I take the opinions on board. But at the end of the day, like, my job is to make sure that our business moves forward. So whatever the cost and whatever the result, like, I have the data now. Like, I have data, so I do this analytics thing amongst all our, I think it's about 10,000 customers we have now. Yeah, so I have a lot more data now to sort of play with, so sort of have a better understanding about what we can put forward and how we can move forward. So yes, response has been great, and I do appreciate people, and I appreciate you boys too, like, saying great things about our brand. We obviously really support you guys, and but yeah, even if you didn't, like, I would really take it on board and go, okay, cool, like, also didn't like this or didn't like this, and I can take that onto board and maybe try to figure out, maybe I do it, maybe I don't, because everything, yeah.
Are you in the mood for some island flavor? Natin But Grindz has you covered. Their menu features mouth-watering dishes like the furikake mochiko chicken, crispy Korean fried chicken, and flavorful mochi sadas. Don't forget to try their musubi bomb, succulent pork belly, and fresh poke. Every dish is a celebration of Hawaiian cuisine and culture. So next time you're in Utah, make sure to stop by Natin But Grindz. Experience the true taste of Hawaii right here in the heart of Utah. Natin But Grindz. Aloha on a plate.
One thing about the Matai brand, I treat it as if it's my own. I treat it the same way as the podcast, mainly because if I'm representing a company or a brand, especially Matai, it's all about the quality and the trust that's placed on the people. So one thing that happened that truly made my heart sink was when a customer bought a watch, and then they were messaging me back and saying, "What is a dial supposed to be like this?" So that's when I contacted you and told you about the watch defect that existed. And to me, that I never want a customer to receive a product that's no less than high quality, mainly because we're proud of what we sell. We're proud of the products that we put out. That's how I feel every time I go out and promote. Matai is a pride that I have in something that's for our people, especially since we're Team Matai. And for the listeners, we are an authorized reseller. Behind our Lava Lava is an authorized reseller of the Matai brand. So yeah, that's how I feel about the Matai brand. I strongly feel about it. So when someone puts it down, I just, professionally, I want to keep that face, but internally, I want to fight them because it's still a reflection of us and what we put out. So now we're going to move on to the personal side. How have you been feeling physically and mentally? Because I know you've been gung-ho and pushing forward strongly. How have you been feeling? Are you drained some days, or are you still going strong?
Yeah, I think mental wise, I feel like I'm a real strong individual. Life's kind of dealt me these cards that have put me in a real good mental space, I think, for myself individually, where I don't kind of rely on anything to keep me motivated. So I'm a self motivator, which I think is a really good thing, you know. And I think with last year, like, it was really exhausting to get over, just to get over the board. But it was all worth it, you know. And I understand, like, it's all worth it at the end of the day. So the exhaustion and stuff like that, there's days you get tired. Because even when you're not working, like for me, even when I'm not supposed to be working, I'm working. Because people absorb information different. So even if I take an hour off, right, and I go and sit down on the couch, what I'm actually doing is maybe I'm sitting there and I'm scrolling on TikTok or I'm scrolling on YouTube, but I'm scrolling for information. You know what I mean? And information can come in different ways and we can learn in different ways. And that's kind of how I work as well. So I may come across a video that's got nothing to do with brand or business or anything like that, but it's a real cool edit, you know? And so the edit's like, oh, wow, I like that cut, man. Dave, you know, let's note this down. So I feel like I'm always consistently working, but I also understand I have a great opportunity, you know, because there's a lot of Pacific that would love to work for themselves, you know, that would love to have their own businesses and work for themselves. And I was like that for 20 years in the security industry, where that's all I knew, you know, work for the man and go to work. And then to leave that job to jump into doing this was a big risk, because I have family and I have kids, and it's trying to figure out, like, damn, you know how it feels, brothers. It's like, you're like, you got your secure paycheck, but you got your kids to feed, you know what I mean? And so a lot of us find comfort in just kind of staying in our 9-to-5 job, and then making sure that our bills are paid, our power's paid, our rent's paid, everything that we need is paid, to go through that experience, where, like, me and Andrew sitting there, and just so you know, like, Andrew founded this company, right? And he built this company for 4 years. And he is the one who came to me and said, you need to leave work and run this company. But I'm still going to work, right? So imagine being a founder or an owner and then going, also, you're the one with the skills. You got to leave work. I'm not leaving work. You know what I mean? And then, and like that in someone, I think, is a real special thing. You know what I mean? To build something for 4 years, and then you're like, you can't even be unemployed from it. And then me understanding, oh man, like, I can see it, like, we are making money. I can live off it. I can do it. But just having that confidence to go, I got to leave something secure, you know, and go and work in it. And then to actually pull the trigger, go jump in and do it every day. The reason I do what I do is because I know that I have a great opportunity. You know, at any point I could end up back on the doors. You know, I could end up doing security all over again. So everything is very satisfying. I feel like the exhaustion is worth it. The tiredness is worth it. The work grind is worth it. It's an opportunity. Like, and I never undervalue the opportunity that I'm given. You know, so Monday to Sunday is a work day. Today is Sunday, is family day, but I mean, I here on use it because there's an opportunity, you know what I mean, to talk about the brand, to talk about ourselves, you know, to have a discussion, have a catch up. Yeah, so in terms of mental health, well-being and all that kind of stuff, I'm in a good place, Michael. You know, I am in a good place. I'm in a calm place. Like I said at the beginning, there's a storm that's coming, and the thing that might blow my mind is how much I have to, you know, beat up Nick last year, which was, I think, was a great year. And then to come back, because we're at a point now where I'm just kind of just competing against ourselves. And it's a good way to look at it. But it's also like, we've also got to compete with ourselves, but then we've also got to go climb into a different pond and swim with some sharks, you know, and then that's also scary to sort of process that. So that's why I kind of have to have a calm. Physically, also in a good place, you know, as I said to you guys before, man, in July it was really bad for me. Was in Samoa, you know, first time in Samoa, down there doing the Money Samoa shoot, weighing on about 200 kgs, you know, got off the plane. No one told me the humidity was crazy in Samoa. So I went down there and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then just like that whole 7 days that I was down there, man, I was walking like a freaking, oh man, I couldn't walk from door to door. So carrying that much of weight really was affecting, you know, my well-being. even though I'm driven in the head mentally, like even when I was at that size, I'm still driven mentally, but physically it was bad, bro. So, came out of there, decided to make a life choice again, and several months later, like I'm down, I'm feeling good, bro. I'm down like 60 kgs and I'll still continue to get down another 20. Lifestyle change, you know what I mean? So making sure that right now I'm drinking some amino acid at the moment, and just one thing I understand is like I have to talk to a lot of people, and when you're quite big, bro, you don't feel comfortable, like it's hard to get people to listen to someone's vision, because when their visual of you is not, like, they don't accept you. And so I already kind of understood that for the last year prior going into business, that if I'm going to get up in public, speak in front of people, they're going to look at me and go, who's this fat dude and what does he know about it? And unfortunately that is people's mindset. And I didn't, and for me it was just, I shouldn't really care, but I do kind of care, you know what I mean? Because number one, I need to be healthy. Number two, I laid out and said I need 20 years to do what I need to accomplish. And right now I got 10 years left in my life. You know what I mean? So in order to do what I want to accomplish with Matai, I got 20 years, and I'm not going to get to 20 years. I got 10 years on my life at this rate. I'm about to die in 10 years time if I don't make a change. So there's a lot of layers that came in and went, okay, let's do something, but not like before. I was a bit crazy when I took a lot of supplements and when I was doing training like about 5 years ago. And this time I just kind of wanted to find the balance, in terms of my health and well-being, and just kind of steadily progress, and get back into a position where I feel good about myself. People give compliments, and compliments make you feel real good. Not that you need them, but it also makes you feel real good. And it just kind of motivates you to want to be a little bit better, be a little bit better. But yes.
I was going to say, you look like you dropped some pounds there, because I didn't want to be wrong. You'd be like, no, what you saying? Yeah. But for our American viewers, 60 kgs is 132 pounds about. So that's massive. That's big time. Those are big time.
Yeah. I want to look like you also, because you look like you train every day, bro.
No, just wear big shirts. We want to look like Ati. He trains.
2024 couch potato. Continue the progress. I got a quick question for you, brother. You were mentioning different ponds. So your watch that you initially gifted to me, I actually gifted it to one of I call him my son because it was a foreign exchange student that we took in here in Texas. So I gifted my watch to him, and he's from Germany. So now there's a Matai watch in Germany. What ponds are you trying to get into besides Germany? Because there's already in Germany. My son / foreign exchange student he has in Germany. What other ponds are you trying to break into?
Well, that's a real good question. So you would have seen, like, recently, we really started pushing the whole Matai to the world agenda. And when we talk about Matai to the world, it was actually by default. I think I had said it on a post, and then it became a thing, amongst TikTok. And, our guy JP, he's over there running TikTok content for us. They're doing an amazing job, by the way. And that sort of just became a default thing. And then I realized, like, man, like, what does it mean? When you say something like that, what does it mean? And then so we've just started to kind of configure, what that means to us. Matai to the world, it means obviously taking the brand to the world. And how do we do that? We have to get that into certain countries, certain places, certain areas. We understand our strengths. New Zealand, Australia, massive markets for us here. Hawaii has been really good, starting to pick up. And the really good thing is, last year I asked Michael to tell me where all the islanders live in the US, because I didn't have an understanding about where it was. So I came back with a census report, and now we start to advertise within those cities that I never even heard of. Like, I didn't know that Tacoma in Texas had islanders. I didn't realize, places like Dallas, San Diego, obviously LA is well known. But just like, and there was this list that I think you sent me, Michael, was about 5 cities on it. And then the real fascinating one with it was, by default, Alaska had a really great following of our Pacific people that were sitting out there. And the reason we got that data is because one week we woke up and a lot of people from Alaska had started buying because they had met Michael in Utah, which I think is really great. So the US is obviously a real big part of what we do. And I have discussed it with Michael and mentioned a few things like, eventually we do want to start pushing more into the US, but with the US market, obviously your guys' population is way bigger than Australia and New Zealand. So what that requires more money for advertising, more money for a lot of things. And that's always a very interesting thing because in order to run a business, it's not about making money. It's about, you got to spend money too. And you got to spend a lot of money. So for us, it's making sure that we have a budget that we can go, okay, shucks, we can give this a shot here. And that's what we're working towards too, is to really bring Matai into the US market. How do we do that? Obviously, there's a lot of data that needs to kind of come back to us. So that would be really nice. We've had people from Colombia and Germany. Yes, and Germany has come along. We've got people from England, France, and Italy. A lot of the rugby heads that are playing like globally from there to Ireland has been really great. But they're only singular individuals. Maybe they're a group of 5, maybe they're a group of 10. And obviously, our goal is to get to the masses and not just anybody. What it is there's a strategic plan, to take our brand to where our people are. And that is what Matai to the world is. And for me, like being and overthinking, okay, man, I'd love to go to all these countries and do some promotion. And can we do that? Well, probably not, what with the budget that we got? Like, no, probably not. I can't travel to every country. I'd be away. There'd be not enough time to work around it. So how would I accomplish that? You know what I mean? And it's figuring out, how can I get this product into like where you guys are? How do I get it over to other places and realms? So it's a real big part of our agenda also, to get the brand like globally and to get it into different places. And with that, and all it is also for me right now is making sure that we have the funds to invest. Yeah, so New Zealand, Australia, that's the hub of the brand. Hawaii has been really good for us. And you boys out in Utah and where you guys are situated, you've helped to really build a community and also doing what you guys are doing, which is the podcast, which is fantastic, by the way, I might add, and bringing value to our communities and bringing more awareness to the Pacific. The great thing about what's been happening, though, too, is that our people on this side of Australia and New Zealand and even Samoa and around to the islands is like we're starting to connect with you guys a lot more, I feel like there's starting to become a real good awareness about where our Pacific people are sitting over in the US. And I think that's really, really important, especially for this side of the world, because a lot of our people are coming from this side of the world before they push up, So, yeah, I don't want to go too much into it because I carry on too much.
I didn't mention it earlier in the beginning when we were on the topics, but the Black Series, ooh, man, that was genius. And also, just mentioning it, shorthanded name, the Masina collection. Even you changing up the bands to better cater, to watch collectors who prefer that type. Those were beautifully crafted. Everything done within the Matai brand is done with care and to look good. And it's not just like we're, slapping. You guys are just slapping Polynesian on it. Just any type of, rink-a-dink trinket and then sending it out. There's true craftsmanship and durability within the products. I rocked the watch on the sidelines. Yeah. I coached high school basketball, taking a lot of L's in my career, but hey, I'm looking good. Looking good with my white collar shirt, my white Kobe's and my white Matai. Man, like almost every game, it's a woman that comes and compliments. Oh man, that's nice. Oh, you drip. I was okay, thanks.
Okay.
And since I'm an awkward dude, I'm sweating like, yeah.
That's it, man. Yeah, no, but that's a really good point too. It's something that we do really care about, even like right down to the names, from the Genesis collection, obviously representing the beginning of our company, to the Manea collection, meaning beautiful, and the Cook Islands, which I'm half Cook Island, and what our collections represent. And also, even with the Eva Marcina collection, meaning 9 months in Samoan, something that me and actually like really thought about. Like, it's not even the names are not even something where we go, just call it that, Everything is really thought about. And even, obviously we're getting better. We're trying to upgrade the tech right now, which we are going to do. That's also another sort of a mission for this year, is that, all our watches and all our collections are getting an upgrade, which I think is really, really exciting. And it's also kind of scary as well. And the reason why it's scary is because when you have such a success with the Genesis collection as it is, there's, I think, did a number on it. I think there's always close to 10,000 units worldwide that have gone out on the Genesis collection. That's a huge, for a brand that's got to kind of come out the gate, it's a real huge response. And then to take it and then to upgrade it and then to tell people, hey, we're not doing this no more, I think is really scary. I think it's really scary in a sense. And then to go, we're not going to be bringing it in. We're going to be upgrading the tech. And then the third part of it is, and it's going to be more expensive. That for me is a process. These are the types of things that I have to deal with mentally, is how do I tell my consumer, I'm not bringing that watch back out, but I am making it better, but I am charging you more. These are the types of things in business that people don't really take into account, but I do. I really think about them, and all the collections. Yeah, they're because that's what we want to do. In order for us to really compete, and when I say compete, I mean compete mainstream with the big brands. We also have to make sure that our quality, our durability, our lifetime really stands by the brand, and the way we do that is we have to make things better, and that's what we've been working on for the last year. How to upgrade our tech, how to make it better, how to make the metals better, how to make it more waterproof. And then understanding that we don't come from a watch background, like we just love watches. And then, making sure that our knowledge is up, that we can get better. That's so important also, So that's, with the whole drip thing and all that kind of stuff, like we love it, bro. We really do take into consideration everything, even right down to the Eva Marcina collection. When we released it, Eva Marcina meaning 9 months. What does 9 months mean? It means that's how long our mothers carried us for, you know what I mean? So for us, it was about paying homage to our mothers, but at the same time, we also wanted to make sure that we paid homage to our fathers. And that's why we had gone with that name and used it, because it's a unisex collection, you know what I mean? How do we make it relevant? How do we make it? So it took us probably it took us one day to decide on the name, but then it took us 2 months to process how we're going to do it. And then that also brings me to a new point, with our new watch and something that we are focusing on this year. Even that's had a 1 year process, heading into sort of that July period. Yeah.
Nick, this may be one of a challenging question to you, brother. If today, a big company approaches your company, Matai Watches, and be like, hey, we want to buy your company. You as a CEO, I know it's you're thinking all about these things. And I'm being, this is a big company, one of these other, whatever watchmaker, whatever big company there is. What do you have to say, to your future self, that is? Well, what would you respond to that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. If a company wanted to come along and buy this company, I'll be honest, boys, you would have to come with at least $100 million for this company. You know what I mean? Before we would even look at it. And the reason being is right now it might not be worth $100 million, but I can guarantee you that it will be, and it will be worth a lot more than what that is. And that's only the value sense of it. You know what I mean? And so to put it in perspective, would I sell the company right now? Well, you wouldn't be able to talk to me unless you had $100 million. You could come with 10 and 1 million, but I know the value of what we have. You know what I mean? I know if thinking about money, and this is a good thing too, but I don't really think about money. I think about legacy. That's probably the most important thing for me. And that, I think, for ourselves is why we've been able to succeed in our areas, because me and Andrew are not driven by money. You know what I mean? Money helps the circle go round and round. What we're driven by was driven by legacy, what we're able to leave, because I'm not going to be here forever. You're not going to be here forever. You know what I mean? When I'm gone, what do I want left behind? Money ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? My kids probably take it and spend it, or whatever. If not them, my grandkids will, and for me, it's like, how do I want to be remembered? Like, I want this brand to be here in 100 years' time. I want it to be here in 200 years' time. Rolex has been around forever. These brands have been around forever. You know what I mean? Nike has been going to live past their CEOs. Apple, every company, every great company lives, you know, past whoever's running at that time's expiry date, you know. And unfortunately, like, that's how I think too, which is the whole reason about my health, right? Is going, okay, I need 20 years. And then after 20 years, like, maybe there'll be a new CEO, but I want this company to live forever. So if anyone wanted to buy it for value, you know what I mean, I wouldn't look at it unless it was at least $100 million, because, and that's only for now, because that may change next year. Maybe next year I go out and it needs to be at least $300 million. Because it's more about seeing what I can see in the future. And then even then also, it's, would I even want to sell it? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of legacy am I trying to leave? And then also making sure, like, I would never sell this company to just anybody. It would have to go in the hands that would do justice for our people, you know, because this brand is built on the backs of our people and our ancestors. It's built, you know, so I wouldn't go, okay, here you go, Balangi company, just go and have it. You know what I mean? Like, it would have to go into people that really understand or have invested into our company or understand our people before I could even look at it. So money's not even the objective right now. So it's not something that I'll look at and go, okay, if someone came tomorrow and gave me $1 million, hell no, bro, $1 million wouldn't cut it. You know what I mean? Like, $10 million wouldn't cut it. But I would, you know, I mean, who wouldn't? You know, what'd you blink your eye at? I blink my eye at 100 million. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it would take a lot to even look at that. So, yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question.
No, that's perfect. No, that's perfect. And I have a follow-up question. So, is Matai looking into possibly doing any partnerships or merging? I know it's kind of like, you know, getting into the business side, and I just kind of want to pick the brain, see if there's, you know, for the audience, of course, see if there's any big mergers or anything like that coming, you know, like going into Shark Tank or something like that, you know.
Like, bro, it has come across, you know, the idea has come across the table where it's like, bro, you guys thought about Shark Tank, you guys thought about this, thought about merger. No, there's going to be no merger. And the reason why I say that, and I think even for the whole time that I'm going to be sitting where I'm sitting, is a merger would probably never be on the agenda. And the reason being, bro, is because I like being in control. It's not that I'm a control freak. It's that when you get given power and you get given, you know, when you're able to call the shot, and me knowing myself, I know I'm the right person for the job. You know what I mean? I'm the right guy to lead it in a position. And now by partnering with any other company, that kind of strips your power away a bit. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. I don't like being in control. It's not a control freak thing. It's just, I like being in control because I understand how to control power. Power in the wrong hands is a very bad thing. And you guys would have seen it in your lifetime, and it can be on a small scale to a major scale. You know, people that are given power don't know how to use it or how to control it, you know, so they sit there and they start being a dickhead about it. It's simplest terms is like, you might go to work and then all of a sudden, you know, you and your mate's on the same level, and then your mate gets given supervisor. And now he's supervisor. Now he thinks he can throw all this weight around. You know what I mean? Yes, he is in charge, but he starts being a real big dick about it. Now, picture that on a bigger scale, right? That's why I don't mess with that. I'm not a big fan of it. And the great thing about me and Andrew too is I lead this company. He's the founder, he's the owner of this company, but he allows me to create this machine that we can go forward on and supports it. And that's what I need. Being in a merger, just, I don't think I could do this, you know what I mean? I'd rather sell the company than to merge with someone. So collaborations wise, there's a whole bunch of collabs in the pipeline, but merger, nah.
Yeah, all the shots you called so far work. So you don't need anybody's.
Yeah, I feel the same way when you build a brand, especially for our podcast, when someone wants us to join under their wing or come partner up with them. I don't want to work with them, especially with an event. I don't want to work with them because why would I do all the work and you take the credit for something? So that's been one of our main obstacles with our podcast. That's why I'm very picky with who I work with now because, especially here in the Utah community, it's all about recognition.
Yeah.
Like, you just pretend to swoop in and save the day when you haven't done anything. And then it corresponds with that crab mentality that a lot of people struggle with, especially our Polynesian people. They start to drag each other down. Yeah, that's how I feel. I only work with people that I trust. I only work with people that I know who are genuine and won't screw us over in the long term. I'm gonna give the time to you, Nick, because we like to ask this question to our guests. Do you have any questions for us, the cast of Behind the Lava Lava?
Yeah, so no, that's awesome. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I just kind of want to go back on what you were saying just then about why, the thing about people swooping in and getting credited. Has that been, with the work that you guys have done, within, the community that you're working in, how annoying is that, to be honest, number one? But how do you deal with it in terms of how have you dealt with those issues that have come across your pathway? Because the thing about a lot of stuff and a lot of things we went through last year, like we had so many passengers, and we've kicked off a lot of those passengers. So with what you're saying there, Michael, like how did you, I just kind of want you to tell me how you were able to sort of, how did you deal with it?
So there's no real way of how I deal with it other than simply blocking them or not collaborating with them in the future. So one of the things that I know that I was mentioned, I know we talked about it, Nick, was when I go out to represent the company Matai, a lot of people would mistaken me for the owner of Matai. So I will correct them that I'm a merchant. I'm an authorized reseller, and that Nick and Andrew, they're the founders and owners of the company. So that's been one of the things that I've been trying to iron over is that misrepresentation, that misperception that people have every time I go out and present the Matai brand. But ultimately, I want to present Behind the Lava Lava because that's my baby. That's my brand.
100%.
I'll give the time also to Milford and Tiafala on how they perceive it. But
here's another question. Here's another question on top of that one, though, Michael. Yeah. This whole, this is such a big thing, right? Where people's perception of who owns it, this whole ownership thing, it's been such a big thing over here where people have to know, like, who owns, like, what, for me, what does it matter? Do you know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit? I've been real about it, right? So who cares who owns it? Why is that always the first point for our people to think like that? Like, that's what I don't get. What's your take on it? Ati, that, well, the thing is like, oh, but you know what I mean? And it's like, why is that even important, bro? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why we put ourselves in a position why that's important. And I feel bad because, Michael, you're not the only one who's had to deal with that, right? Where people have gone, oh, are you the owner? Are you the owner? And some, you know what, bro? Some people will go, yeah, I'm the owner. Yeah, I'm the owner. And I've caught these dudes out. It's all good. It doesn't bother me. That's not a thing for me. But I always try to think, why do people, right? Why is that important to people? Like, who cares who owns it? Like, you're here to buy, like, you're here for the brand, or what are you here for? Like, what's your guys' take on it?
I completely believe it's a social ethics thing. And it's kind of like, because of our small knit, community, i.e. the islands in general. It's because, hey, a lot of our folks want to be associated with other folks that are already out there, I kind of thing. So they want to know, hey, who owns this? And if by owning it, is he like is he related to The Rock? Is he related to his
Yes.
family ties and all that stuff? Like that's the reason why in my mindset, without even like I'm here in Texas, so I don't really kind of like I'm kind of like a small little area where it's like not really a lot of folks around here. So when they ask me about my watch, I completely say, hey, it's made by the people of the Pacific, and that's it. They and they don't ask about the names because these are outsiders, but it's more so our own people. So, and like I said, it's a biopsychosocial thing. Biologically we're wired to be with other people, and psychologically we're always thinking if that's associated with somebody's good name, hey, then I'll buy it. But why don't you just buy it because of what it represents instead of who is its owning? So that's my take on it.
Yeah, the only positive thing that I could say is every time someone asks me who the owner is, I will say this is owned by a Pacific Islander. So that's when I generalize it. That's what I put out.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with Mati when he says, we've always our people are so it's so funny like that. It is. It's that point of association of if it's you want to know someone that knows someone, and I just feel like it's a really irrelevant like question, like why bother asking that question? I hate, to be honest, I hate hearing it. You know what I mean? And I hate like people having to justify like, oh no, it's this guy. I didn't even like hearing that, bro. What I like hearing is I like the spotlight put on the brand being Matai. Do you know what I mean? I don't like hearing, oh, Nick and Andrew owns this company, because to me that's really irrelevant. Yeah, we do the work. Rah. Yes, we do own the company. Yeah, it makes sense. But it's not something that sit there and like, I want it to be known. I want the brand to be known. I want that to be the point of importance. You know what I mean? Why not say, Michael's a seller of it, or you know what I mean? Like, why? It's always that sort of thing. Well, what's your take on it, Milford? Like, what do you think our people are like that? Especially our people.
Let's talk concrete cutting, and who better to go than All Pro Concrete Cutters, owned by the one and only Thomas Fadiliu. They are pros with over a decade of experience, so you know you're in good hands. Whether it's big or small, residential or commercial, they've got the skills and the tools for any job. Thomas Fadiliu and his team take pride in their work, making sure your project is done right and on time. No cutting corners here, just precision and passion. Give them a call at 801-834-8835. Go with All Pro Concrete Cutters for top-notch results. All Pro Concrete Cutters, your dreams cut to perfection.
Well, like Michael was saying, crabs. Now, the crabs in the bucket. I just want to clarify that for the listeners. That's what Michael was referring to when he was talking about crabs. You put a bunch of crabs in the bucket. One will be making its way out, and the next one will be trying to drag that one down. As far as that question goes, I don't know. Some people like you two were referring to just want to associate themselves with something. They want to be able to drop that name, and either that, or they want to be able to talk crap about it. Like, oh yeah, I've met these people, yada yada yada. Products trash, this and that. Anything for their benefit. It's just fun to hear that question and then give them a line of questioning to kind of figure out their true motive, and then just smile because that snake in the grass. You recognize it, but you just kind of want to, play with that for a little bit, even though you know what they're really about. You just humor them, entertain yourself, and then just like, nah, this ain't for you.
I had a situation where I was at an event selling the watch, and this person just comes up, randomly asks me like the specs of the watch, and then after I showed him the specs, then I followed up with asking, "Why, are you a watchmaker or something?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just wondering what the specs of the watch is. I don't even buy watches." So that's a huge problem, is people just trying to create some flack here so they can get punched in the face.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like that's that's absolutely correct. So with what we're doing, kind of going forward, is making sure that you can't talk about specs because the specs that you're asking for is already sitting on it. That's been a big play going into sort of this year. But because you've given me the mic, right, so I can ask you guys questions, and I think this kind of probably excites me than the boring stuff that I've been talking about all podcast, bro. So with the Behind the Lava podcast, I'd love to kind of dwell into that a bit. What's the future? What does the future look like? Like, what's the goals? What's the objectives? What's the personal? What is it that everybody wants to get out of it? Like, as you guys have been doing this podcast for a little while, and it's and like I said before, Michael, like I'm so happy to see you guys still going, like 2 years strong. I think it's really, really great because a lot of the businesses or even like a lot of the ideas, you see them fall off after 2 years. See it all the time. Someone starts a great idea, come out the gate firing. And the really cool thing I like about you guys is you guys didn't come out firing. You guys have had to gradually sort of scale, and that really excites me. And obviously, you guys have been doing it for a little while. So you've gone 2 years down the track. What is it you see for like the year 3, year 4, year 5? Like, where do you want to be? Where's the growth? Is there a plan in place to get it to that place? Do we still feel 100 for it? Like, are we boys, like, we still in this? Like, let's go and get this. What's the sort of the feeling from you guys?
I want to attack that question first initially, before our president takes over. Personally, for me, I kind of mentioned this to Tan. I kind of want to take a more involved approach with our podcast, and because sort of right now, honestly, Nick, it's like a lot of the stuff that we're kind of doing, it's all hats is worn by one individual, and that's again, like I said, Tan, Mike is considered doing a lot of the stuff, and I've been trying to gradually taking over as far as like the editing, doing a few stuff here and there. For me, I'm not really like a big social media type of guy. Kind of stay away from social media, considering just who I am. But then, if I get on there, it might have been like a mistake or some sort. But I'm a type of supporting role, and I like to be a supportive role where I like to work behind the background and kind of make things work and make things put together. That's my personal goal as far as with the podcast. But to me, I would love to see our podcast, like you said, a little bit more out there. I wouldn't say like Club Shay Shay type out there, but I would say, a consistent listening program, for our listeners for future years to come. Because we represent a small niche. I've never really listened to any other podcasts about veterans, personally, from our backgrounds, Samoan backgrounds, and the stuff that we been able to talk about, the past years. And the hope is to continue to expand on all our conversations. Hopefully, continue to that, and still hold our group together. That's one of my biggest personal goals and how I see, because I know we became a business essentially over the last year, and the reason why we had to become a business was because we wanted to be a representative of your brand, Matai watches, and we wanted to be a sort of like I want to say ambassadors, but I mean that's technically kind of the tip of the spear of our going forward, representing Matai watches in that sense, going hand in hand together, being on top of the shelf in majority of things. But that's my personal goals for myself, and hopefully we continue ourselves as Behind the Lava to continue to put out material out there for our listeners.
Along the same lines, Zati, what I'm hoping for the most is that we continue to grow to be able to benefit to the point where we can support Michael more. So Michael has more of the freedoms to attack and go about the podcast how he wants to without being, bombarded with this and that, and the tons of weight that comes along with, with life. Because there's a lot of things that he's been burdened with this year, and still he's kept us afloat, kept us going. I mean, the most I ever done was just, book guests here and there, but the main objective is to keep going, keep growing, keep those conversations and topics happening so he can have the help he really needs for the business, not not personally or anything. And then, because there's a lot, I had promotions and things happen in my own life that kind of sidelined myself a bit and being able to help. And I want to be more available to, try to figure out things in my own to be able to better support this and to showcase, the skills that I actually have that I don't want to talk about or brag about. I want to be about that action and show what I'm really capable of for us. That's what I can mainly think of right now is, hey, we keep going, but we record more sessions, we get more guests, we get conversations going, and then from being marketed more to hopefully get just whatever Michael sees fit for the podcast and to free him up some more.
I think one of the biggest challenges for us is that we're all from or technically I'm here in Texas. We have a few guys up in Vegas. That's kind of like the hard things. Like a lot of the things that I really want to do, and I can't hop on a plane and go over to Utah to do a lot of the events with T and Milford. Although oh man, I want to be out there, but that's one of the hardest things. And like we were talking that one time, we want to be at a place where, hey, we could just hop on a plane, go over to this, do an event, fly back, that type of level. Fortunately, we'll get there, and that's the mission and vision, that I know our press Mike has in store for the podcast. I just wish we were all in one place. I know Milford's over there, but he's like an hour away from Mike, and that's kind of the drive. I'm pretty sure the drive up there, I can imagine. Considering here in Texas, we don't let one of those things set back. With our dinner, I was able to fly up there and do one of those events, and my hope is to at least do two, or just try to travel up there to Utah. That's one of the hardest things, is just being kind of away from our home business up in Utah.
Oh, that's good.
I've been able to kind of fine tune our mission and our vision. So I wrote a whole mission and vision, but ultimately for me, it has been about leaving a legacy. The ultimate goal for Behind the Lava Lava is to become a trusted premier media. So that when I go out to promote our platform, I remove the word podcast. Mainly because I don't want us to be known as a podcast. I want us to be known as Behind the Lava Lava. I have plans this year to do a few things, and that's to continue our annual Pacific Island Veterans Day dinner and kind of grow it from last year we had 150 seats. We're going to try and grow it to around 250 to 300 seats and allow more veterans and their family to join us, and kind of, I'm thinking of this year of holding a gala instead of just a simple dinner. That's how big I'm thinking of making this thing big for our Pacific Island veterans. And for those who also want to join, because it's open to everyone, they just have to pay, but it's free for veterans and their +1. The other thing is, I also we'll still record remotely, but also move into a studio and become self-sufficient. We're able to stabilize and kind of run our own studio for Behind the Lava Lava. It might start off as a podcast studio, but eventually it'll move into other things like video and sound. So the goal is to become much more than what we are right now. I'm not limiting us to just recording remotely, mainly because I've been out there, I've met a lot of people. Today, I've been to an event and I've recorded, looking back, I've recorded over 100 people with my cell phone, just interviewing them and talking to them, having them tell me about their organization or their business. And that itself is an accomplishment, especially for me, going out and just highlighting all these people, even for just 15, 30 seconds, I'm highlighting their platform. So I hope to grow alongside Matai because I found it beneficial for us to have a secondary mission, and that's to grow our podcast at the same time organically grow alongside a people's brand. So those are just a few of my ideas. I also want to get to the stage where we will host Utah's Polynesian Music Festival. So I told the guys before, I'm not at the stage yet because I've seen all the logistics, everything that goes into hosting an actual concert and music festival. But that's another goal for me, is to bring all these artists from hopefully different countries, but all Polynesian, and host maybe a 1 day or 2 day festival. So there's things that I'm always thinking ever since I started a podcast and become a business owner. Sometimes it keeps me up at night just thinking like, how can I sell? What's the next time we're going to record? So becoming an entrepreneur, it's a nonstop process for me now. So there's a lot of things that those are just the things that are on top of my head right now.
I love that also. Totally dig that. And you are right. Like, being an entrepreneur is not a 9 to 5. If anything, you do 3 times the amount of work that you would do at your normal 9 to 5. It's part of the game that we play. So, I love that. I appreciate you boys sharing with me. And it's always good to see, where the direction and what's to come. Because that kind of stuff really excites me, especially like. And I tell you why it excites me, right? It excites me because I look at the track record and I go, 2 years, how many businesses have I seen in my life fall apart in 2 years? Well, a lot. And so to see anything that goes past 1 year really excites me, especially within the Pacific. I think it's real, real special. And so for me, that what you guys are saying, it really excites me, because whether or not it gets accomplished or not, and it's more about moving forward and, continuously taking a step to get better. No one comes out the gate great, So I know that over time, like, it's real good to see that where you guys want to be and what your objective is and where to get to. And I totally believe, like, eventually it's going to get there. And that's kind of stuff really excites me compared to someone who's been in business like 3 months and is like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And it's like, brother, I heard it all. And I really start to take people serious, like, after they've done their time and they still continuously growing. And I watch your guys' growth and I think it's awesome. You know what I mean? I think it was there maybe like 200 or 300. I can't remember at the time, like, in terms of following and social networking. And then to see it grow, like, to start seeing it over that 1,000 mark, and every day, like, bit by bit, like, you pick them up one at a time, bro. It doesn't matter how long it takes, because Raymond's built like that, because 10 years' time is going to be like a different friggin' atmosphere. By that time, there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of failure, but a lot of wins along the way that's come into play. And don't get me wrong, like, bro, I've made a lot of losses this last year, and not just in terms of everything, financially, we've lost thousands of dollars. In terms of like advertising, stock, just making dumb mistakes, and you make that along the way, and it could like deteriorate you from wanting to go forward, but you just kind of pick yourself up and go again. And I think the losses are so important. That's why I'm real calm, I guess, going into 2024, because it's like, all right, like, I was just kind of spraying everything I could. And I think this year I just kind of have to have a better posture, stand up straight, examine, understand, No, like I've already made some dumb, bro. We're at like, what's today? Today's like the 14th of January. And I can tell you now, just in this last week, I've made 3 mistakes already for the year that I'm kind of kicking myself about because I'm just like, but I'm glad I made them early. You know what I mean? I'm glad I could identify them early rather than identify them like 6 months down the track and you're like, that was stupid. Yeah, it's about growing. Like, I think it's really important. And that's what I love about you guys. Like, because I can't wait to the veterans that I'm actually going to try and come out to it, Michael, over in Utah, because I'd love to obviously meet the boys in person, chill out, get to understand your community a lot better. That's what I want to do. I want to kind of get my knowledge up with what's going on in the US, understand your guys' community, because even though we are the same, we have the same bloodline, we're raised differently. You know what I mean? We have different values. You know, the Australian system is different from the New Zealand system of being raised as a Pacific Islander, and same with the American system. It will be, but it will still be the same. Our culture will still be, but I love learning about different stuff. You know what I mean? Like you were saying before, also, you know, about the Browns, and it's like, I don't know much about the Browns, you know what I mean? But if you ask me about the Penrith Panthers, you know, it's kind of different. You know, you ask me about, but NBA, you know, I do like. So I do follow that quite honest, you know, religiously. But we're all brought up in sort of different ways and different sports, and I love to learn that. So I want to try and come down.
So one thing that kind of propelled me forward and kind of accelerated me wanting to move forward is that in December there was a Polynesian, almost like Shark Tank style. Remember I sent you, Nick, one of our pitch check, and we didn't make the finalists. But when I saw the finalists, I was like, we could have won something out of that. But it wasn't about winning, but it was trying to put our platform out to the public so that they'll know more about the brand. But I was bitter over that made me want to prove people wrong who are looking down on our podcast. I think mainly because people generally look down on podcasts and don't think that it's a business, but it's also because people don't understand the podcast realm. And one of the reasons why I was told we didn't make it was because our pitch was too complex. Had we represented only either Behind the Lava or Matai, we would have made it onto there. But I was like, I made the pitch very easy to understand. What was there to not understand? It wasn't complicated. I just wanted a podcast studio and a storefront that will sell luxury brands. Matai just happens to be one of those brands. So I was pretty bitter, but I want to move forward, and I want to prove people wrong that Behind the Lava is gonna be the it factor.
I think one of those guys, they don't understand math, man, because we clearly put the equations and the math and the numbers right on the proposal, bro. So that's funny, man. So complex.
What's really fascinating about those types of things, though, too, is it drives you. Like I would just use that as firepower, like as gasoline to put on the fire, you know, because there's always going to be roadblocks along the way. Like people don't really understand, but we have roadblocks as well. You know, things don't always go our way, and maybe it's individual, maybe it's organization. You know, it could be for any agenda. Maybe it's just personal. You know what I mean? It could be anything. So I'm stoked, bro, that you can take away from that, and you will prove them wrong. I think that's the writings on the wall, bro.
Nick, I don't have any other question, brother. I really appreciate you hopping on, chopping it up with us. Thank you, brother. New Year's, new things, new ideas, new walls to break down. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
That's it.
Sort of a side question, but just out of curiosity, are there any books in regard, like books about leadership? Are there any inspirations you have when it comes to leading? Because just listening to you talk about your own journey and what you're doing, you know, you have all the traits of a great leader. Like we see you leading, we hear you leading through your experiences and what you're telling. So I'm just curious, like, Is this all just the experience from life, or are there some parts where you're actually drawing inspiration from parents, leaders, books, role models?
To answer that question, also, it's a really good question too, and something that I don't really get asked a lot of the times too. Like, do I read books? No. Mine's honestly has been upbringing and visual, and being around. Like, my first leader was actually my older brother. He was a teacher, and I saw him revolutionize the way that you would teach kids in terms of schooling. And that's going back like almost 20 years ago. So mentorship has been really important. And then I've also had other people in my life that are great leaders. I'm fortunate, to be honest with you, because I feel like God's put me in a position to learn from some great people, and you kind of just follow suit. You know what I mean? You pick up what they know, and then you pick up the stuff that they shouldn't be doing. You learn from their mistakes, and I've been lucky. I've had my brother as a mentor. I've had John Knight, who's the boss of Excel Performing Arts, an older white man who was a great mentor of mine. Brother D from Dawn Radio Entertainment was a mentor of mine as well. So people that have taken, have done things, that have really done some stuff. And I think learning from that has been great. But growing up, to be honest with you, man, like, I idolized a lot of American sports. Basketball was huge for me. I was a big MJ fan. I was a big Kobe fan. Still am to today. You know what I mean? So I think having cultural awareness in terms of, like, from music to sports to just things that are religious. Like, I absorb, what would you call it? I absorb information really, really fast as well. So I can learn from a lot of things. But in terms of reading books, bro, I'm real bad when it comes to reading books. I'd rather listen to an audio book, to be honest with you. And I think I've only ever read one book in my life. But it's been through visual that I've been able to observe, like, real great men and have real great role models in my life, even to my father. I mean, people say, "Oh, you followed your father in music," and it's like, Dad was important about music, but it was also what he didn't do that taught me stuff. So when people would say something and then it wouldn't follow through, that was a big educator, because that also told me that, I can't listen. And then you just get a group of, along the journey, bro. The journey's been up and down for myself, and then you get a lot of street smarts along the way. And I think that's what's helped, going into business now, having a real big mindset and real open about everything, I guess, in a way, is a real good way to put it. So, yeah, leadership's been important in my life. And now, it is.
I don't read either.
Yeah.
Me and Regan do not get along.
Show me the picture book, bro.
But man, I love that. Thank you for sharing. It makes a lot of sense, and we definitely, just from hearing you talk, we hear the great qualities of a great leader. So, hey, keep it going. So.
Well, thank you very much, Nick, for joining us today. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with us. I know we've been messaging throughout the year and staying in contact, but it feels better catching up when we're talking on video and basically in person. But do you have any last remarks?
No, thank you guys. Thank you for building a great platform for me to come and speak on. I don't know about the information that I've given today. Maybe it interests some people, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it helps some people, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is what it is. Thanks, boys, for creating a platform that I can jump onto and, not just get on and have an interview, but just also catch up with some real cool dudes. Some real usos from the other side of the world. Can have a little bit of a laugh about. And just kind of drop the guard a little, because, a lot of the time and a lot of the work that I do, the guard's up. And I see you like this, a lot of the times. And so it's real nice to come into a relaxed situation and just, I'm not thinking about half the stuff that I'm saying, but it's just real nice to come into a situation and just not have to feel like I got to get critiqued about this stuff. Oh, he said this, he said that. Like, I just think it's real nice. So thank you, boys, Michael, you guys for having me. And I'm cheering for you guys, and I know you guys are cheering for us, and I really appreciate it. And as we go forward, like, we're going to do some real special stuff together, too. I can guarantee that. But a lot of the time, too, it's going to be about God putting it on our hearts. That's how I kind of figure out what our next step is. And I'll be honest with you, man, like, I don't really go to church, but Andrew does. He's very religious. So even like today, like, I had something that was on my heart, and I was trying to mentally, I was trying to get over it. Like, I got this really cool idea, and I got the ideas weighing around it. And, I said to him this morning, also, when you go to church this morning, I need you to pray for fulfillment, to fulfill to pray for us to fulfill this thing here, because that is so important. If you're doing stuff and it doesn't fulfill your heart, then why are you doing it? Like, it's just another, to me, it's just another rubbish idea. It's just another thing to do to try and get something. And I don't believe in that. Like, I feel like you have to be fulfilled. And that's what I feel like you guys are doing. You're doing something that fulfills you. And that's the most important thing, whether it's successful or not, because, bro, if it fulfills you, then easy. But again, like, yes, please pray for me, bro, so that I can get this idea out of my head over the board. Because, yeah, me and God, we talk on and off, but, I actually, yeah. So it's really, really cool like that. And I appreciate you boys for having me again. And hey, we can do it again in another year and a bit.
The good thing about living in different time zones is it's Sunday over there, but still Saturday night here. So we'll go to church for you tomorrow and pray for you. And we'll keep you in our thoughts that, pray for your fulfillment and direction in your life. So thank you for tuning into this episode of Behind the Lava. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow Behind the Lava and also go follow Matai. Make sure you follow the right page though, because there are scammers out there. Make sure you drop a comment, leave us a review. This is Michael Tan and the team signing off. Tofa Soifua.
Working on my interests, it's who I am. I'm trying to make these digits look like EINs. When the help ain't free, you all help me. Salute to folks who turn their names to LLCs. The wealth is in itself to help a non-profit. To be better women or better men, whether business by veterans or common folks with a dream. We're all born with the same strength. We tread waters that were untouched. Let's be on the same wavelength. Behind the lava, front of our eyes. Let our legacy live off it when we're up in the sky. All signs point to us to help someone make a difference. With God as my witness, let's talk business.